ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexandra Plummer, and I am a rising junior at Pittsburgh Kappa High School. I am here today on behalf of GirlGov, an initiative of the Women and Girls Foundation, creating female leaders of tomorrow. This year, as a whole, we are in agreement of solidarity to introduce our proposed sex education bill. This bill is incredibly prevalent in each of our lives as we are high school students in need of accurate, comprehensive information, which we are now at a lack of. Now, if you'll join me in welcoming my dear friend Serena Zetz as she explains the details of our so very important bill.
I'm Serena Zetz, and like Alex, I'm a rising junior at Pittsburgh Kappa, and I'm honored to be speaking here on behalf of my peers today. I'd like to speak on behalf of GirlGov as I explain the reason why we're gathered here. Our coalition is rallying here today in support of our mounting sexual education campaign. Today, our members lobbied and shadowed state legislators in hopes of bringing awareness to our state's current, dismal sexual education curriculum. In order to combat this, we are calling for radical action to be taken. During the next state legislative session, we hope for the Healthy Youth Act to be reintroduced in both the House and the Senate. This bill will mandate comprehensive, scientifically accurate, age-appropriate sexual education throughout the great state of Pennsylvania. Today, we would like to ask for your support and empathy in our comprehensive sex ed campaign. And now, I would like to introduce some of my peer GirlGovers and their testimonies as to why this is such an important topic.
Many of the people that will be voting on the sex ed bill will never experience or have never experienced what we're talking about. And personal anecdotes are a perfect way to kind of get in touch with what these girls are doing. An anonymous story from one of my GirlGov sisters. My friend got her period when she was 12. She was away at summer camp and didn't know what was happening or why she was bleeding. So she told her male camp counselor. Instead of helping her, he violated and abused her. If she knew what a menstrual cycle was at the time, she would know what to do. Lack of comprehensive sex education traumatized my friend.
An often overlooked facet of sex ed is the LGBTQ+ community. The entirety of sex ed in public schools has been based around heterosexual cisgender relationships. There is little to no inclusion surrounding the LGBT community is usually in relation to AIDS, and the depictions are usually less than favorable. Pennsylvania needs to be at the forefront of change in not only comprehensive sex ed in public schools, but as well as combating stigmas surrounding our LGBTQ youth. Current social climates indicate that there is no better time than now to combat negative stigmas around this community. Education is the only way. This bill states in explicit language that bias towards LGBTQ+ people will have no part of sex ed in Pennsylvania. Insufficient information will perpetuate toxic perceptions and continue the cycle of violence we've seen around the LGBTQ community in the media recently. And we need to be at the forefront of this change.
Hello, I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the science-based aspect of comprehensive sexual education. You see, many students don't even understand what their bodies are, what their bodies do, how their bodies work. The human body is an amazing thing. It keeps us alive when our heart beats, when we breathe, when we make children, when we give birth to those children, and when we raise those children. Yet we don't understand the way that it operates. We don't know the pieces that make up our body because we've never been told, because we've never been taught. I was taught how to prevent, how to detect, and how to treat a concussion, how to treat tendinitis, how to treat the common cold, how to treat the flu, but I was never taught how to prevent my body from making another human life. I was never taught how to prevent, how to detect, how to treat gonorrhea, how to treat syphilis, how to treat chlamydia, or HIV, AIDS, HPV, or any of the other prevalent diseases that affect women, that affect men, that affect boys, and that affect girls in this community. I'm not lobbying for this bill just because we deserve it, but also because we need it. This is not a high school issue. This is not just a girls' issue. This is not just a youth issue. It's not just an LGBT issue. This is an issue that all of us, all of you, need to stand behind. And for those of you who are watching it, the legislators that are watching this, I urge you to represent your constituency. You see 100 high school girls in front of you, but this is not just about high school girls. Because we will grow up, and someday I won't be in high school anymore. Someday I'll be an adult, someday I'll be a senior citizen, and someday I may have an infant. This isn't just about me. This is about my future. I did not come prepared with remarks, but even though I can wing this, I'm not prepared to wing my future. I am not prepared to just go in and impromptu my reproductive health, my life, and my well-being. So for my sake, and for the sake of all those around me, for the sake of my peers, for the sake of my classmates, for the sake of youth across Pennsylvania and hopefully someday across the country, let's make the information we're teaching our children accurate. Let's make it comprehensive. Let's make sure it's true. Let's make sure it's factual. Let's make sure it's helpful. Because it is absolutely despicable that we can go in and teach children something that is not scientifically based and that has no basis in fact. How can I be expected to take care of my body if I don't understand what my body is? So for this reason, I urge you to support this legislation, to sponsor it. I ask every member of the legislative body here, and if you are a constituent watching this, I ask you to urge your legislator to support this bill. Thank you.
As you have just heard, we as the 2016 GirlGov cohort are not satisfied with the current legislation regarding the requirements for sex ed. After speaking with my GirlGov sisters about the sex education that they have received in their high school careers, I found that they, like myself, have had minimal instruction on what contraceptives are and how to use them. As you have heard from me and my GirlGov sisters, this method of teaching has been proven to be ineffectual over and over again. Current sex education does not require contraception to be taught. It stresses abstinence, not condoms. It does not require the life skills for avoiding coercion, healthy decision-making, healthy relationships, or family communication to be taught either. Under the current policy, many girls do not know what a healthy relationship looks like, leaving them vulnerable to be a mentally or physically abusive relationship. In fact, 1/3 of adolescent girls are the victims of dating partner abuse. But under comprehensive sex ed, girls will be taught all of this. They'll learn what a healthy relationship looks like, what consent is, and how to prevent STDs or pregnancies. All of which are important topics that need to be taught to students, whether that information is now or later.
One thing about our bill that is not expressed in the education today is about consent. Hi, I'm Annie. I'm going to be a senior at Moon Area High School. And when I was 13, I'm not sure if I was sexually assaulted. It's a weird thing to say, right? I know what everyone would say if I told them. Did you say no? Well, yeah, I said no multiple times. Did he touch you? Well, yeah, he forced his hand into my pants. But he doesn't know he did anything wrong. He doesn't know that 4 years later I still think about it. He doesn't know that there was no consent, and he doesn't know what that consent should have been. That's why this bill is so important, not only to me, but to women everywhere, to men everywhere, to people everywhere. Every 2 minutes, someone will be sexually assaulted in the United States. With this bill, kids can be taught that consent is not only ongoing, but it's enthusiastic, and it's unforced.
Another aspect in this bill that will be brought in with education that we hope to implement is the aspect of healthy relationships, the aspects of domestic abuse, and how it expands beyond physical abuse. I was lucky in my school because we had someone come in to talk to us about other forms of abuse that is present in relationships, of which there's, besides physical abuse, there is also emotional abuse and sexual abuse. Without this, my friends and I would not have realized that my best friend's relationship with her controlling boyfriend displays many of the signs of an emotionally abusive relationship. Without this, we would not have been able to tell her, we would not have been able to help her get away from a very toxic relationship that was going in such a downward spiral it could have ended her life. We need other people, we need other girls, we need other boys, we need all of us to know that this stuff happens and that we don't know about it. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience domestic abuse in their relationships in their lifetime. 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men. And it's not just physical abuse, there's so much more to that. We need this to be taught in schools so that in the future, if you find yourself in a situation such as this, if any of us find ourselves in a situation such as this, we know what to do, we know how to help ourselves out of this, we know how to recognize the signs, we know how to save our lives. Thank you.
Abstinence-only sex education doesn't stop teens from having sex. It just prevents them from having the proper information to have safe sex. This contributes to a culture in which signs of abusive relationships, as well as an alarming increase in transfer of STIs, goes unnoticed. Access to comprehensive, unbiased, science-based sex education is a basic human right. We deserve a proper health education, and we are going to do as much as we possibly can to get it. It's not a luxury or something that can wait a few more years. We must undo the wrongs that have already been done now before it's too late. We must properly educate ourselves and those after us in order to create a better society for generations to come. It's not just about us. It's not just about teenage girls or teenage boys. It's about creating a better environment in order to educate and inform everyone on things that they otherwise would have never known.
In 2014, in Bucks County, there were 1,137 cases of chlamydia. In Dauphin County, there were 1,361 cases of chlamydia. In Lehigh County, 1,358 cases of chlamydia. It's gross. But all we're taught in our schools is that if we don't have sex, it won't happen to us. I don't know about you, but I know that me and my peers don't always listen to what we're told, and when it comes to abstinence only, that's just not the plan. Now, if we're not taught what to do, or how to have safe sex, or how to protect ourselves, then we're going to be left with diseases like this, with misinformation like this, and frankly, I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for my peers, and I don't want that for the people who follow me.
Today, you heard from various members of the GirlGov cohort and what sex education means to them. You learned about how abstinence was not covering it. You learned that abstinence is 100% effective, but like Sierra said, does not always work. We don't always listen to what we're told to do, but somehow the education that we receive sticks in our minds. This bill will not only cover cis sex, this would cover everything from LGBTQI sex. This would cover comprehensive education so we would know how our own bodies would work. One of my GirlGov sisters told me that they did not understand how their own body worked, but they know how the male anatomy worked. This is not okay. This is happening everywhere. We are future voters. We are future women. We deserve this. My final question would be, would you let your child get behind the wheel of a car if they did not know how to turn it on? Would you let your child drive on a driveway? Would you let your child leave your sight? Why would you let your child function in the real world without knowing how they function